seated. So, as General Secretary of the party, my first task here tonight is to thank all of you for being here. It's an activity unparalleled ever in the history of this country. So many people at a single event that is not a rally. In fact, people are saying, this is not a dinner crowd, this is a rally crowd. And so, you know, in the party, we have different leaders who are assigned responsibilities for different regions. So the president, apart from his functions as president, also has party responsibility for Region 3. And I was at an event there that I thought would have been the biggest one. But East Coast has far surpassed Region 3 in the event. When he comes here, he may seek to dispute that fact. But it's indisputable. This is the largest dinner ever held, not only in Guyana, in the Caribbean, for a political party. And so now we are going to go to the other regions. Let's see if Berbice can get past the East Coast. Now, we gathered here tonight, and your presence here tonight is a testimony to the fact that our country is on the right track. I recall the 5 years. Tonight you're going to hear a lot of people speak about what we have accomplished and what we hope to accomplish in the next 5 years. But we must never forget one thing, one fact. The challenge that we had to get here as a country. It started off with Chetty Jagan and with a bankrupt economy, a country that has no democratic institutions because we were living under a dictatorship for 28 years. All of those were destroyed. With no funds, a country burdened by debt, where all of the revenue went to service debt, where all of the infrastructure, and the social and economic infrastructure were all destroyed. We had no entrepreneurial class, local entrepreneurial class, and that was the starting point. And it was through the PPP's leadership that we returned this country to solvency long before we discovered oil and gas. And we created once again conditions in which people can live a dignified life. We returned freedom to our country, democracy became the norm, and people start making economic progress. And it was a long, hard challenge, because we did not have the resources to invest at the scale we wish, and we also had an opposition that was constantly trying to pull down everything positive about the country. And many of us, people in 2015, they felt that the country was ready for a change in leadership. We lost those elections by 4,600 votes. And we walked away peacefully, and we said we'd rebuild and strengthen the party in the 5 years so to emerge victorious back again. Many did not believe us because they knew the nature of the PNC, that they were accustomed to staying in power through rigged elections. And they felt that we will never have a chance again because true to their nature, they will rig the elections again. And then what happened in 2020? People were right. They lost the elections, but they tried to steal it. And I remember right here on the East Coast, the challenge of election day, when, in fact, the few days leading up to the elections, they had not even settled polling places as yet. We had a discussion with with the Commonwealth Observers Group. At that time, it was led by Owen Otto, who was the Prime Minister of Barbados. And they wanted to take people from Fowles on the East Coast and take them to a neighboring village to vote in Paradise, setting the polling stations in Paradise for people from Fowles, a PPP stronghold, to vote. We knew what would have happened. People would not have gone. And this took place right across the East Coast in particular. And it was only on the night of the elections, before the elections, that many polling places were settled for the East Coast. And they made the conditions so harsh that they wanted to force people away from the polling place. I remember on the tarmac here at Monrepo, people were there in long lines. The sun was hot, and there were the presiding officers were allowing people to vote slowly. And many people wanted to leave. And we said to our activists, say to them, you have to stay in the lines, because what is at stake here is not just winning the elections, but the future of this country. And I remember we took water to those people, and we built tents there. And they stayed in the lines, the East Coast people, and not just East Coast, right across the country. They stayed, some of them from morning all the way to the evening, to get a chance to cast their ballots, because they understood instinctively what was at stake, that the other side was trying to frustrate their vote, and if we didn't prevail, this country would have no future. And I expect in these elections the same sort of resilience from people on the East Coast and all across our country. I want you to understand the challenges we're faced with. At that time, people were misled. Many of the sugar workers, I spoke with them at Albion a few days ago, and they were told that they would get massive salary increases, the sugar industry would expand, and what happened? In 5 years, they got 0 salary increases. 7,500 sugar workers were put on the breadline because they supported the PPP and for no other reason. Many of their families, they couldn't feed their families. Many migrated because they didn't have a chance to live a life of dignity in their own country. And so the people who spoke their lies and misled the sugar workers, they're back at it again in different forms. Tonight I saw Aubrey Norton saying he will give cheap fertilizer to the sugar industry. Now, if APNU gets in, there will be no sugar industry to give fertilizer to. And the only cheap fertilizer that he would give is if he, I don't want to say the word, fertilize the field himself. That's the only fertilizer he will give. And you have some people who buy that message, because we have a political party that came into power that did not fulfill any of their promises. That's the PNC AFC, APNU AFC. They're untrustworthy. They have no integrity, not just to our supporters, but to the entire country. Their own supporters, they failed to fulfill their promises to. So it doesn't matter what they promise now. They could promise anything under the sun. They have no intention of fulfilling their promises, and they don't have any experience to deliver it. Aubrey Norton, he didn't even have an office in the last government. He had a title without an office. And the prime ministerial candidate, that is APNU's prime ministerial candidate, was Moses Nagamoto's assistant. So look at, on our side, we have Mark Phillips, who headed the army, who commanded large numbers of people, who has experience of an enormous nature, years and years of public service in a managerial position. We have Irfan Ali, who long before he became president had a major portfolio in government as a minister. He sat in the cabinet long before he became president, many years when I was president. He had experience when he became president. I myself was a minister 6 years before, sitting in Chedi Jagan's cabinet and Janet Jagan's cabinet before I became president. You have to have experience at tackling large-scale tasks. And that is why, in spite of the fact we came into office, we lost a year and a half to COVID. In 3.5 years, we've been able to put together the large-scale plans to transform this country, from infrastructure to housing, to water, healthcare, education, all of it. You see it unfolding before your eyes. 60,000 people more are working today than were working in 2020. There are more income at every level. People are looking forward to the future with optimism. And if we didn't have the experience, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And many people think we did it because we have oil money. That's what they would like people to believe. Well, only 37% of the budget is funded from oil money. All the oil money is just 37% of the budget. When you look at our education and health and expenditure and roads and bridges, that's more than all of the oil money in the budget. Education budget has grown from $53 billion to $185 billion in the short period of time. And the same thing with the health budget, from about $49 billion to $160-something billion. That's where we're investing. We're investing in our people. And so because of the experience, because we know what we're about, we have a plan for the future, because we have credibility too. What we say, we will do. Every promise we made, we have fulfilled. We go to these elections in a major way and with a lot of wind in our sail. And that's why so many people across the country are coming to us. We've been able to reach out to non-traditional supporters of the PPP. We have grown strong in the Amerindian communities, in the Afro-Guyanese communities. You see large numbers of people who were kept away from us because of rumors that we're a racist party. Now they're coming to us because they see that their future, their children's future, will be better secured under a PPP government. And now people are looking at more performance rather than how you look to give you a chance at leadership. But there are risks. I don't want to, we win the elections. It's just a matter of by how much. We want to win by a landslide. So when September 1st, we are winning these elections. But we must not be unmindful about the risks. There are lots of risks because, again, people are trying through rumors to split the votes. And today, all the work sometimes you do, you can go to a village and fix every road. They can have a new school, new water treatment plant, everything, but people will judge you because someone posts on TikTok that the canal in front of you is overgrown with grass. That is how people sometimes form their opinions about politics today. Online, not on the basis of fact and reality. And many people do not follow enough because they rely heavily on internet for their information. So you would see, for example, the collaboration behind the scenes. Every one of them said, we know the PPP will win the elections, but we want a government like in 2011, where they don't control the parliament. And you remember what happened when we did not control the parliament in 2011. They cut $90 billion from the budget. Money for education, Amerindian development, for everything else. So they want that. They know the PPP will win, but they want a hung parliament. And how are they going to achieve this? They believe that they can encourage new forces to split the PPP's vote. So APNU and AFC can't go back in the sugar belt or the rice belt or many parts of the country to campaign. Nobody listens to them. So people like Azruddin Mohammed now, he can serve that role. They've all said they will work together to bring the PPP below 50% in the parliament so they can control the parliament. Imagine this person, Azruddin Mohammed. He says that the PPP sanctioned him. Now, first of all, it is not the People's Progressive Party that sanctioned Mohammed. It is the American government. Secondly, it was not the PPP that accused him of all of these things. It was the Reuters that said, Reuters is an international news agency, which says there are several US agencies, including the Drug Enforcement Agency, who are investigating him for money laundering, drug trafficking, and gold smuggling. It wasn't the PPP. When he was sanctioned, we had to protect the country. We can't allow our country to be sanctioned because of one individual. If we didn't take away their cambio, then they could have put at risk the entire financial system, the cambio license, because no banks can do business with them anymore, or else they would get sanctions from the US government. Just imagine if we didn't do anything. You wouldn't be able to use your credit cards. You wouldn't be able to make a transfer abroad because we'd lose correspondent banking relationship. You couldn't be able to make a purchase online because they would not process your payment. But they're upset. They think that the PPP must defend him at all costs in spite of his criminality. And so it wasn't the PPP that they accused him of drugs trafficking and money laundering or gold smuggling. It was Reuters. And it's not the PPP who's been taking away the visas for everybody associated with him when they travel up to the US. It's the US government. But he believes that somehow we must protect him. We're not going to protect one individual at the expense of all the people of this country. And if the impossible happens and he becomes president, which is the impossible, the US government now supports us with the Venezuelan issue. We rely heavily on external support to keep Guyana safe from Venezuela. We've had strong external support from the entire international community, including the US government. Marco Rubio said when he was here, who is the US Secretary of State, said it would be a bad day for Venezuela if they were to attack Guyana. We have a strong navy in the United States. Just imagine he becomes president. Maduro is sanctioned here, and he is sanctioned here. Who would the US government really support? We'd lose that security that we even have on the border. We can't put our country at risk. And their lies, he's a prolific liar. He's a prolific liar. So they're hoping to use him to split the PPP support. Listen to the Sherrod Duncans and the others. We will work with him. He had secret meetings with the AFC and others to bring the PPP support below 50% in the parliament. They know they can't win the presidency, so that they can stop the progress in Guyana like in 2011. And we will not allow that to happen. You will not allow that to happen. So you have not just to be resilient, you have to carry this message back into your communities wherever you live. Because sometimes people get carried away by the their little flashy things. A man dress up and go and post a picture of himself. But what is at stake here is the future of Guyana. There's only one political party, the party that you support at this moment in time, that can deliver prosperity to all of the people of the country. And we, in that new term, all of our people will move forward, regardless of their race, their religion, their gender, young and old. We have laid out the plans for wealth creation, for investment in health and education at a world-class level, in supporting people to start more small businesses through a development bank. We have mapped out all the infrastructural plans that would lead to major economic growth, but also lend itself to huge welfare delivery. We're going to transform every community. Just yesterday at my press conference, I was speaking about what we hope to achieve in every community in Guyana, the types of investments to keep people safe, to keep the communities growing. And by the way, Mark said he had 99.99% of the support. He heard it from me at the press conference. So Mark, you didn't understand it fully. What I said is that I just canvassed the leadership of the party. And I can say for sure that 99.99% supports Mark Phillips as the prime ministerial candidate. When that decision is formally made, because it's just a formality now, 100% of the leadership will support you, not a single person. So mark it. You don't have to question where this 0.1% support that you didn't get. You're getting full support because we recognize hard work. We have a president who is not a cardboard cutout president. You know, you got to take pictures with a cardboard cutout of Granger. He walks around the country, meets people. He is a young man. He engages community. He shows empathy. He's compassionate. He's smart. All of this. Contrast that with any of the other candidates coming. 23 political parties, 24 are contesting the elections now. They submitted symbol. And some of them didn't even know where GCOM was. Some of them didn't even know. And I see 4 of them join APNU in the coalition. Well, APNU got 4 votes more. That's the whole 4 political parties that they got. People treat this like it's a joke. It's not, it's serious. And so tonight, I just want to, as General Secretary of the party, we've come a long way. I remember the 5 years of struggle when I was leader of the opposition from 2015 to 2020. And the difficult times we went through, persecution, harassment, they used the police force in a coercive way against us, even around election time. But they couldn't break our will. They couldn't break our resolve. They could not intimidate us, and they were in power. And because we were trained in the party, we came up the tough way to confront any challenges. And we braved all of those challenges then, and we prevailed in the elections, in spite of all of the efforts to steal it. So your party is a strong party, and I'm very proud to be able to lead this party now. I want to thank you once again for being here. I want to thank you for what the work you will do between now and elections, every one of you, online and in your communities. And I want to thank you for the help that you will extend on election day to our activists to bring everyone out to the elections. And then we will thank you formally after when we win the elections. Thank you very much.